The guy's 34 years old. He's a point guard. If he's going to play 34 minutes a game, how many years, how many games, how much better is your team going to be taking on that contract? Or is it more saying, we want to make sure people understand we're trying to be competitive. We can't go a third year. They've gone 2 years in a row without playoffs. We can't go a third year without a playoff, so we've got to get back in the playoffs.
Who's better than Chris Paul is? Chris Paul is no longer a great player. He is a good player, but not a great one. He's been a great player almost his entire career, but just watch the way he played last season, and he just turned 34 years old. And by the way, it's okay to not be quite what you once were. You lose maybe a half-quarter step, something like that. But then in high-leverage moments, be great. And when they needed Chris Paul late in that series, it didn't even go 7 games. It wasn't just James Harden. It was also Chris Paul who didn't come up big enough. Let's call it what it is.
What's up, fam? Welcome to K&T's Corner 3, your one-stop shop for all NBA topics. My name is Kushal.
I'm Tim.
And welcome to our channel.
Today, we want to talk about CP3. Is he the most underrated point guard in the league? Yeah, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about his history and his current standings in the Suns and basically his impact from team to team. So what do you initially think? Like, do you think he's underrated? Why or why not?
Listen, Chris Paul is the most underrated superstar in the NBA. And about his history, I mean, he has always played on winning teams. And it might not always translate to playoff successes, but when he was with the Hornets, I mean, he wasn't playing alongside superstars. He had David West, who made an all-star or two, but really, Chris Paul was the best player on that team, and he constantly led them to playoff contention or near to the playoffs every single year he was there.
Adding along with that, I think he just elevates his teammates. The Rockets, he definitely elevated a lot of them, gave many good three-point shooters open looks, did the same with Lob City and the Clippers. He makes his teammates better. He makes teammates have open shots. He gives people a lot of opportunities. Very underrated, even though he doesn't score, he doesn't shoot threes like Curry. He does what he can. Great passer, definitely going to go down in the Hall of Fame. Even though he might end his career without a ring, which it's pretty sad at the moment if you think about it.
I mean, he was we're gonna skip the Clippers because we're gonna forget about that chapter. But listen, when he was with the Rockets, he was one game away with Harden from beating the greatest dynasty. They took that 3-2 lead against the Warriors in 2017. He gets hurt. They lose game 6 and 7. He gets traded to OKC. They were supposed to be awful last year. But really, he elevated that team. And alongside, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder, and Gallinari, he brought them to the playoffs and almost beat the Rockets. And nobody expected that. So Chris Paul, and we're going to get into the Suns, but he just constantly elevates his teammates, makes them better, and is so underrated in that facet.
Definitely. It's a great person to watch because he's not super fast. He's not super tall. He doesn't have amazing handles. He's not the best three-point shooter. He has good basketball IQ. I guess that's the word we should use. He can read you defensively. He knows where his teammates will be. He tries those daring passes that's like, should you have done that? And then he just executes them. Obviously not all the time, but very, very top of the line guy. And as you could tell from, teams on like the Thunder, the Rockets, things like that, even though he's old now, still delivering at a very high level.
Oh, one of the smartest players, and that'll never go away. Everyone talks about LeBron and his age, and obviously LeBron's a better player than CP3, but CP3 is a 35-year-old, 6'0" point guard and is still killing it and is still one of the most impactful players in the league.
Right. I think he definitely evolves with the league, with the whole Curry shooting threes from half court and stuff like that. While CP3 doesn't do that, he didn't become obsolete. I think when I think of a player who became obsolete, sadly, even though I like him, I think of Carmelo, the mid-range, the post-up ISO. It's outdated. Yeah. We got to do screens now. We got to get layups. We got to get threes. Melo didn't adapt, and he was quote unquote forgotten about. I mean, he's still playing, but he's not the same. You know, CP3, from the moment he went into the league till now, he's still relevant. People still want him. And I think that's, again, goes to his character. It goes to how smart he is as a basketball player.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So I think we should get into what he's doing with the Suns this year, because he's doing it again, Tim. He's doing it again. So let's talk about the Suns. You know, this is the 5th year of Devin Booker's career, and in the last 5 years, they haven't made the playoffs. Haven't really been close. I guess last year with the bubble, but they won all 8 games and still didn't make the playoffs. So right. It's impressive. The Suns just added Chris Paul. They traded Kelly Oubre. They traded a few other role players, but the roster's about the same, and they're in the mix for the Western Conference. They might make the playoffs. I
wouldn't be surprised if they did. Currently a 4 seed at 7-4 at the time of this video is being recorded. They got some good pieces. Again, they're not a championship, right? It's not happening this year. But the development that CP3 is going to give to Booker, players like Crowder on support, Ayton's development with CP3, that's going to be big. I think he's, as long as he works at it, he buys in, I think that's going to be a really nice duo alongside Booker, obviously.
Yeah, and the thing about Chris Paul is that it's not even all about stats. This year he's only averaging around 13 points a game, and he's still averaging 8.7 assists, which is amazing, but 13 points a game, it's not like he's scoring all the points. He's just controlling the team, as he always does, controls the flow, make sure everyone's getting the ball, playing great team basketball. And with the Suns, it's finally showing up in wins and losses. What a great trade in the offseason.
There's not a lot of negatives you can say about CP3. I think one of the biggest things, if you wanted to, would be injuries. But even so, I don't necessarily know if that's always his fault. But again, I agree with you. I think he's underrated. I think he develops people. He doesn't get the credit he does or he should deserve when, playing on those other teams. Yeah, I really think he's underrated, honestly. Amazing player in this day and age. And
I think we're making this video because, rings are incredibly important, but sometimes people don't respect great players because they don't win rings, like Charles Barkley. It always seems like an asterisk. But listen, if you're a basketball fan, you should appreciate the great players before they retire. And whether or not Chris Paul wins the title, what he's done in his career has been amazing. And going into his age 35 season, he's still the winner. So to the question, is he the most appreciated superstar in the league, an underrated superstar in the league? To me, he is.
I'd agree with that. I have no problem with that at all.
Listen, the Suns are making the playoffs. It's a guarantee. Like and subscribe to see more Suns coverage when they make the playoffs. And if they do, please feel free to at me, as always.
All right, so that's all we had for the CP3 video. Let us know in the comments. Do you think he's underrated? Do you think he's overrated? Whatever. And make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And turn on the bell. We'll be giving you guys videos very often about the NBA, playoffs, trades, rumors, all that good stuff.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.